Hello, I'm Bert Oliver, and welcome to Bowie News and Views. And today we have a guest and a program I think you'll find of great interest. And may I introduce Chief Nesky, John Nesky, of the Bowie City Police Department, and co-host today, Janelle Butler, who is the Executive Director of the Bowie Community Media Corporation. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And John, you know, we were talking about positions. You still, you were assistant police chief, became police chief. How long have you been here now?
I was hired December 18th of 2006. Not that I'm counting or anything, but it was December 18th, 2006.
That's great. So anniversary's coming up in a couple of months.
Yeah.
What about the staffing total, the original numbers you were looking for, and where you stand now?
Well, the original plan that was made before we got here was 57. Mm-hmm. Currently, I have 3 openings, and once I fill those openings, that'll bring us to 55. Mm-hmm. We're looking to fill a combination of laterals and academy people for these 3 openings, but the laterals just didn't work out. So now we're looking at putting 3 into the Prince George's County Academy in October.
Mm-hmm. And what do they do at the academy?
A lot of running, basically, but they get everything. The county has a wonderful academy. We currently have 4 in there right now that should be graduating sometime in December. Mm-hmm. But it's a paramilitary structure, very hard on the discipline. It brings your awareness up. Mm-hmm. It's a big shock if you've never been through something like that before. Mm-hmm. Maybe not if you're ex-military, but if you've never been through anything like that before, it's pretty life-altering because it gets you ready for the streets. It's hard academics. It's very, very hard PT and very, very hard physical training. Teach you how to drive safely, emergency driving. Teach you how to use the various weapons that we employ. Teach you how to communicate with people. Teach you how to problem solve, mm-hmm. and how to have that good command presence.
And a lot of that sound like an instance of neighborhood policing, in the sense of knowing your neighbors.
Sure.
I did see over near the Redskin Stadium some practice driving of the Prince George County Police Department, and they had 24 cars out there. And They were literally learning how to drive, not like they were going down to the beach, but when they may have someone they need to have certain techniques to drive in. And your guys are going through that, I imagine. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that we go through with just driving. Mm-hmm. There's a combination of you can do it off-site in the county someplace. Sykesville also has a wonderful a track. I think Fletsy over in Cheltenham has some driving facilities, mm-hmm. Where they take you on high-speed maneuvers on a highway course through the city course, mm-hmm. because it's very easy to get wrapped up in, say you're in a pursuit. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get wrapped up and not clear your intersection. Even if you've got the right-of-way, you've got license siren, you still have to make sure you're clearing your intersections. I was teaching a class last year sometime about pursuits, mm-hmm. and way more officers are injured in the line of duty driving versus you think that the number one killer of law enforcement officers would be assaults and things like that, but mm-hmm. it's actual vehicle accidents.
Wow, that's
Goodness.
True.
So it's very important that we clear intersections. We make sure we have control of the car. Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff that you saw were like serpentines. They create what's called an oil pan, and where it's basically they put oil on the ground and put you into skids, mm-hmm. and you have to learn how to control your skids. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of intensive driving training.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
And do they do simulations as like part of that? I mean, you see that on television. I didn't know if they
simulations as in driving simulations?
Not driving simulations, more like neighborhood situations that you might run into.
Part of the towards the end of the academy, it's what's called basic survival tactics,
Okay.
where we go through and you have other officers that serve as role players. And you go through different scenarios. You might respond to a domestic, and they're playing the role of domestic people that are happen to have a conflict. And you go in, and it's where you put all the schoolwork and the lecture into play, and see if you can do that or not. How do you control them using your voice? Do you put somebody on a couch? So have a seat on the couch without checking the couch, because there might be a weapon or something underneath the couch. And so it's things like that where you hone your skills and make sure that you can put all the academic work together into a realistic scenario.
Wow.
Goodness.
That's a good question, Jan. You know, your administrative staff now, you're up to date on your administration staff? I mean, you got all those places filled?
Actually, we just, one of the records clerks positions just closed.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be doing interviews to have somebody up there in the window with Ms. Fisher.
John, do you have 9/11 capability now in the city of Bowie, or does it go through the county?
We still go through the county. We'll be going through the county for a while. We are still looking at some funding opportunities and some possible avenues of federal funds to look at our dispatch center, but it's still a while down the road.
So if I call 911 and I had a problem in, say, 197 Bowie, city limit, how quickly would you get that notification?
It depends, case by case, depends on the call load that's coming in at the time. And it's not so much our call load. You have to remember that there can only be one 911 center in the county. That's per state regulations.
Sure.
So it would go to the call taker. The initial call taker will screen it, say, what is your emergency? Do you need fire, medical, police? So once it's determined it's a police call, they'll look and say, okay, it's inside the city of Bowie, then they're dispatched to my officers.
There's hardly any gap time.
Yeah, there's for the most part for 911, there's very little gap time. And again, it depends on the call volume. One of the things that we're looking for if we get our own dispatch is to have our own non-emergency number. So Bowie residents can call directly into us versus having to go through the rest of the county fighting to try to get through that 1-352-1200 number. But again, that's down the road, but it's a service we're hoping to provide in the future.
Sure. And the whole idea of the 911 screening is emergency versus other, non-emergency.
Right.
I mean, like I saw a suspicious character in the woods. That we could call directly to your office without having to go to 911. There's no threat evidence.
Right. No threat, but we would still encourage you to use the non-emergency number for the county because we don't dispatch yet out of the office.
I got you.
So if you go through the non-emergency for the county, they'll give us the information over the radio, but you'll still have a constant contact with the dispatcher. So if something changes, we got a guy hanging out in the woods. Oh, wait a minute, he just pulled a gun out of his pocket. Or he's going down, this direction. He's wearing this. It's a constant feed between the resident, the dispatcher, and then us. Versus if you try to call into the office and have us try to dispatch, we don't have direct radio dispatch with the officers, so we can't provide that constant feed. Another good part is that it's recorded if it goes through the county. So if there's anything that we need to go back and take a look at, there's a record of the call.
Good.
Okay, and you had said that you would hope that this is something that would be done in Bowie. Is it like funded for a particular year or?
No, it's listed as a capital project, but it's a very expensive endeavor. So we're looking to our federal friends to kind of help alleviate at least the cost of the equipment.
Okay.
Operating costs are going to be there no matter what for the city.
Right.
But if you're talking probably upwards of over $1 million in equipment and software and things.
Wow.
Okay.
The most recent activity, John, I didn't bring each case to me, but there's several cases recently where you guys have solved, Bowie City Police, like a robbery at one of the restaurants in town, Glory Days. Do you have the results of that case? The perpetrator was arrested? You remember that case?
I remember the case. It wasn't so much a robbery as a
Yeah.
as a till tap. The difference is, if I forcibly take something from somebody,
Yeah.
that'd be the robbery. If my memory serves me correct, it was a case of somebody, the person turned their back and the guy
Yeah.
grabbed the cash register and bolted out the door.
That's it.
I don't remember what the outcome of that was.
Yeah.
But I know that we had some success with the Detective Bureau solving a lot of some of the robberies that we had in the past there.
And so your activity there was getting greater, it seemed like, than a couple of years ago. Is that because of the growing, the county not doing as much, or you're just getting more action?
No, but we are probably handling upwards of 95. Again, I don't have the exact numbers, but 95+% of the calls in the city.
Okay.
I'll be going in front of the council on October 3rd, and I'll have harder numbers than for percentage of calls that we're taking. But we pride ourselves on handling things that happen in Bowie, so that the officers take it to heart. They want to handle what's ours, and they want to take care of our city. One of the additions that we just had was the example of that is the SRO, the Student Resource Officer in Bowie. When it was decided that the Sheriff's Department was going to remove themselves, well, they didn't decide, but the county executive decided that they were going to remove the Sheriff's Department out of the school and replace it back with the county police the way it was a while back. We saw the opportunity that said, okay, this is our high school. It's, for the most part, it's our kids that are in the high school. We need to be there, not the county police. And Councilwoman Turner was very instrumental in helping us get some funding to assist us in that. And now we have a Bowie officer inside the high school. But that's the attitude that we have. It's our city, it's our home. We need to take care of it, not anybody else.
Sure, and you're familiar with the comings and goings of high school students when they're not in school too.
Exactly.
I mean, you might even recognize it. Let me ask you this: what sort of you've been doing that for how long? 6 months to a year at Bowie, at high school?
At the high school, we just started with this coming school year.
This school year. So, what typical activities would you be alert for there if you when you assign your officer?
It's the same thing that the other people were doing. We're just doing it with more of a local feel. You look for any possible weapons. If someone brings a weapon to school, if there's any kind of fight brewing in the school, any kind of neighborhoods that might be having a conflict, we try to mediate it, get ahead of things. Officer Wall, who's in there now, is very good with the kids. He knows how to talk to them. There's a certain way. You can't go in there and just be, an iron fist.
Right.
They have to be able to trust you. They have to be able to know that you're there to enforce the laws, but you're also not so unyielding that you can't, come in and sit down and have a conversation with you and share information, get advice on things. It's not so much an adversarial relationship. It's got to be a relationship of trust, and
Sure.
that, you're there for the students.
Sure.
And one of the things that we again, we see them outside the school, then we see them inside the school. It's that continuing relationship.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It is our business being in Bowie Police Department.
Sure.
As the outside activities after school, has it been here again in high school area? Has there been any problems with, and the truancy thing, does that have any influence on anything that might be reported, like car break-ins or anything?
Right. Sometimes you see an increase with sometimes your daytime break-in and enterings. If kids are skipping school or kids are are not in school,